In this lecture, we are going to discuss metadata and quality control. Let's have a look again why sharing data is difficult. We have discussed this before. We see that there are so many benefits, but why is sharing data then so difficult? One of the arguments is that data from others cannot be as good as your own collected data. There's always a suspicion of the quality of data from others. Related to this, organizations that are collecting data, which they promote as being of very high quality, are afraid that people who use their data will wrongly use that and that they will even lose face or ownership when the data is wrongly used. Often the real reason behind this is the fear that other users will discover that their data is in fact of poor quality and therefore they don't want to really share it. In this lecture you will learn that metadata will help with these arguments for not sharing data. After this lecture you are able to define metadata, give examples of metadata and explain why metadata is important for sharing data. Digitizing data is of course very important if we want to share it, but just storing it on hard disks is not the solution. How are you going to find back that specific data set of a certain date in a certain area? You need to look through all these hard disks. It is like going through these kind of supermarkets where you are going for just a package of milk, but you have to go through the entire supermarket to find it, and in between you buy a lot of other extra things. But with shopping we have online shops where you can search for specific goods that you want to buy. Why shouldn't it be the case also for looking for spatial data? Well, the SDI is the web shop for spatial data, and the key for the search engine is metadata. Imagine that you're in a bar where they sell your favorite brand of beer. You order a bottle of beer, but you get a bottle without a label. You start tasting it, but you can't quite make up if it is really the brand that you like. So you order another one. Again you get a bottle without a label. And again, and after a few bottles it doesn't matter anymore if it was the brand or not, your taste was gone anyways. So here you see my colleagues who ordered a Tusker beer in Kenya, and the bottle comes with a label. On the label it gives information about not only the brand, but also the ingredients, the alcohol percentage, the expiry date. There are also some warnings about that you shouldn't drink while you drive or if you're pregnant. A lot of information that the user, the drinker, can use to choose to drink or not. So it's not the bottle that chooses, it's the user that chooses to drink from the bottle or not based on that information. This is exactly the same case with data. The label is called metadata, and the metadata should clarify the terms of use of data. And the provider of the data should be as clear as possible and share that metadata. Then it's the responsibility of the user if the data is fit for the purpose that the user wants to use it for. It's not the responsibility of the data provider. So this whole argument that we don't dare to share because users will do stupid things with it is not valid. It's the responsibility of the provider to provide metadata, and it's the responsibility of the user to see if the data is fit for purpose. So here we see an example of metadata on an SDI, and it's in fact a detailed description of a data set, and it should include all kinds of information about quality, structure, accessibility, and other characteristics of the data that is important for the user to know. The metadata must therefore document the project data sets and services in such a way that the data can be transmitted, interpreted, reused, and understood. And in an SDI we can use metadata standards that are critical for data discovery, integration, and sharing. In the final lecture of this series we are going to talk about the value chain, business models, and data policy.